It's a real blessing and privilege to be with you on this Wednesday, and I trust that you are staying encouraged in the Lord. And our goal is just to give a little thought from God's Word to give you something to meditate on and to hang on to in this day and age in which we live. 2 Corinthians speaks of the heart of the Apostle Paul as he was endeavoring to reach the church there, and also explaining how God was working in his life. And it's just a precious passage of the testimony of the Apostle Paul. Chapter 12 is when he explains how that God allowed the thorn in the flesh to keep him humble so that he would not glory in all the things that God had done through him. And it's a passage that we often go to. He talks about how my grace is sufficient for thee, the Lord told him. And then he responds by saying, well, most gladly, therefore, I will glory in my infirmities, that the power of Christ may rest upon me. Well, the reason I go to that is I want you to see the context when you go back to chapter 11 of 2 Corinthians. He's speaking of all that he had gone through for the sake of the gospel. He was dealing with some of the boasting that the Corinthians were involved in regard to their spirituality, and there was a demeaning attitude toward the Apostle Paul. And he says in verse 30, if I must needs glory, I will glory of the things which concern mine infirmities. Now, isn't that an interesting verse? He said, I'm not going to glory in all the things I've done. I'm not going to glory in all of the opportunities I've had. I'm going to glory in mine infirmities, because the weaknesses that I have are the very tools that God can use to cause me to be dependent upon him, and then to see God work because I am dependent upon him. Those infirmities cause me to know the heart of God more, to know the Word of God more. And as a result, he's saying, I'm always growing through infirmities. He speaks of that, how tribulations work patience, and patience works experience, and experience hope, and hope maketh not ashamed, and the matter of love. It's just a wonderful progression of growth, and he knew all about that through the tribulations that he faced. And so he truly was thankful for anything that would help him overcome the flesh and dependence upon the flesh and pride and all those things that would greatly injure the ministry. He was very thankful for anything that would help him. And friends, we need to not be thrown by infirmities that come our way, both personally and the infirmity of a culture gone mad. Oftentimes we get very frustrated with all of that, but in our need, we're going to learn, and we're going to grow, and we're going to be far more what God wants us to be. When everything's going right for a believer, that's the most dangerous time in a person's life. If we think we've got it together, we don't. And so we need to be very thankful for times of evident weakness and situations that may cause great concern, because God is able to teach us. He's able to cause us to look to him, to cause us to depend upon him, and that's when he is able to do his greatest work. So today, when some things happen that really just show your weakness and you feel like, where do I turn? Where can I go? Reports that you hear that are very disheartening. Just remember, these are times in which you can go to God. These are times when you can learn of the grace of God. These are times when you can have the mind of Christ and let God change you and develop you through the evident weakness that you have. Again, going back to chapter 12, we ought to have the attitude of the Apostle Paul in verse 10. Therefore, I take pleasure in infirmities, in reproaches, in necessities, in persecutions, in distresses for Christ's sake. For when I am weak, then am I strong. That principle is always true. And I want to encourage you, embrace it today, and you will realize that no matter what happens, this will be a great day of growing in the Lord.